Ta-da!
What's tea, girl?
I think this is the fabled collaboration at last.
Oh, girl. Fuck it.
So we're totally pissed off at like all the other things we've tried tonight that suck, and namely what, Anchor and Stereo. Because we were just gonna do a podcast, but then we said, why don't we just do whatever the fuck we want? How about them apples?
I feel like opinions are like the apples, and we're like the bitches that bought for them. And then once we get everybody's opinion, it's like, no, it's still all about us. Kind of.
Fair enough. Do you remember when we did like the podcast, like trial run things, and
No.
I was just wildly inappropriate the entire time?
No, I have no recollection.
I'm having a hard time stifling myself from being totally inappropriate now.
No, that was not this. That was not her. That was actually a deep fake, but like a voice version. Okay.
Well, you don't have, it was never released anyway, so.
As far as I know.
The shade. I don't know what I have to do to get this bitch to trust me.
Unwire my programming via my hard drive, via local disk C, via Windows XP.
Go in the,
Which, that's for
go in
everyone.
the Persian subfolder and just like. I think that's where it stems from. It's that, like, am I getting the best deal?
Oh, girl, no. That's like the half. That's the half-season thing.
The half-season.
That's not a me.
It's
Not
that-
a me. That's not a me. Para like,
It's the LA vibe.
I guess. Maybe. It's like the I don't give a fuck conducent with the like, bitch, if you're in my inner circle, I give too much of a fuck. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. I feel like
do my nails.
I carved my own circle.
What?
I said I feel like I was carved my
Well,
own
that's your
circle
job, though,
inside all the other circles already.
That's your job. Like you're an EdgeDweller, so you have to do what everybody else isn't doing, but like to the max. So you can be like, fuck the world.
It's like being the ultimate hipster.
I mean, I get it. I just know that like after tryouts and shit of like me putting myself through stuff, like it's not. Ooh, that was lame. Okay.
My voice coach would have a cow right now because I'm not like practicing my voice.
Girl, like they say, like, all in Rome, do as the Romans do. If not that,
Then just fuck it.
Well,
well,
I always just fuck it.
no, you get fucked by it. There's a difference, baby girl.
No fucks given, that's my motto.
Has to be. Even when it's not 100% like going, like you have to maintain a IDGAF fucking like thing always. If you're gonna be ever so slightly even nth degree of fucking like emotional or spiritual or just sensitive, you have to just not give a fuck, because when you don't, then only the really important things matter to you. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. When we were trying to figure out how to do the stereo podcast, the topic is going to be spirituality, and I guess with the sort of drive that, like, in what ways does your gender identity, like, intersect with your spirituality, or like how do they connect? Do they interconnect, if any?
No. Okay, so like on a deep rudimentary level or whatever, and even spiritual, it's like, yeah, like, and plus legally speaking, it's like, yeah, like I have no issue with, even on the rare occasion, correcting somebody when they're like, saying they're calling me by the wrong pronoun. But it's like, IRL, like, as far as super mega spiritual shit goes, like, I don't dream in gender identity or anything like that. It's always like a blur. It's like there's neither that, or anything in between. It's just there's no gender.
I'm always too like omniscient in my dreams, so I don't usually dream about myself anyway. Or when I do, I don't see myself.
It's not about seeing yourself. It's about, like, for me, it's like I could appear any which fucking way, but like, if it's in a dream, it's like there's still no label. Like, I don't have to worry about anything, because like in dreams, a lot of shit can be perfect if you want it to be. It's all about, like what you think in your dream while dreaming,
I suppose.
Like, it's all in the psychology of dreams and shit. Like, if you're able to look up at the sky in your dream and notice that it's pastel colored or like watercolors, then you can control that specific fucking dream, like, no problem.
Is that your trick to go lucid dreaming?
Kinda, sort of, maybe.
Mine is to look at my hands. If I can see my hands in my dream, then I can lucid dream. I should mention though that like my whole transgender experience began with a dream. Like I literally had a dream one day that I woke up like to get ready to go to school, back when I'm like 9 or something like that, and I woke up a girl, and I had a mirror there to like check myself out in a totally non-erogenous way, because I really wasn't like old enough to even know anything about anything. I mean, I kind of was like almost like a Barbie doll, and anatomically, in the sense that just like I didn't really know what like a vulva entailed or anything like that, so I just didn't have a penis.
When I heard you say
and
that
I had
the first
boobs.
time, yeah, like when I heard you say that for the first time, though, it almost freaked me out, because like I said to you, like I had this almost same dream, except for like I didn't dream of even any nakedness. It was just like I was looking in the mirror, I splashed water on my face, and this is, mind you, when I was like 5 or 4 or something, and then like I looked up and it was like the most beautiful girl version of me that could ever exist. And at first it scared me in my dream. I remember screaming at myself like, no, fuck this. And then I remember like literally going out, like passing my neighbors, and then after a while of like literally like running so fast that there was like getting pollution or whatever on my face. I was running so fast that like it felt like finally like nothing mattered anymore, that I was happy with everything the way it was at that point, you know what I mean? Like it was like more happiness than before that or whatever. Like I think that was the meaning behind it.
Fascinating.
It wasn't just aesthetics, it was just like I knew like it felt right, and it was ever since that age that like I was trying to, say that, but like I didn't know how to say it until like fucking 14 to the wrong people, and then bitch, hormones in the park, bitch, fuck that noise.
So, how old were you when you started like making the distinct effort to present the way you do, or femininely?
17. But everything started at 14, and then like 14 was just pure, like not androgynous on like a spiritual or even a genetic or gender level, but more androgynous as far as aesthetics. It was always that, and like it still can be. Like sometimes I'll just switch it up and do like my aesthetic that's androgynous, but it's like I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of like happy this way, like more honestly. I kind of always have been since I've done these like specific kind of looks. But as far as androgynous goes, like it is a comfort zone. Like androgyny, aesthetic wise, it's been a comfort zone for me. I felt safe that way. Like even though in a way I'm risking more, I'm putting myself out there way more, because my type of androgynous is not like not 75% of people's cup of tea. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The reason I started my Femandrogyne subreddit was to explore those ideas, like androgynous, the fashion sense or whatever, or the aesthetic, and like
there is
and
a thin
the
line,
androgyne
though.
gender identity get conflated, and you would think that people would be a lot more open to a sort of androgynous gender fluidity, considering that androgynous aesthetics have been very dominant in our culture as North Americans, whatever. I mean, ever since like the 30s. I mean, flappers was kind of an androgynous thing, yeah, and just going on and on. You can just see it popping up. I think Rosie the Riveter was kind of androgynous.
I don't know who that is.
You're so young. And then the other thing too is so androgyne, the gender identity, versus androgynous, the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a theory I've been working on of gender identity that's actually based on aesthetics and not like an essentialist definition, as in you were born with a female soul, and not a socially constructed version either, because I think that both of those narratives for the trans community tend to end up being kind of toxic. Not only because the two are like at loggerheads, because you can't be both, which is something that took me a long time to figure out. Like in my head, I could completely like conflated the social construction theory of gender with the essentialist theory, and I was holding them both in my head at the same time.
Though that is a thing.
Kind, I guess, but
in one sense, I suppose.
On the one hand, I believed that like I was born to be a woman, you know. But on the other hand, when I had my like lightning bolt moment where I finally came out, it was because I finally understood gender as a social construction. And so I was thinking of both of those things, but you can't have gender as a social construction and have it be essential, you know, an inborn trait at the same time. I mean, I guess it could happen, but the two theories are kind of mutually exclusive, at least in the academic world. So I was looking for something different. So eventually, I've got a lot more research to do to make it like a cohesive kind of theory that I could extrapolate on for a long time. But I think that ultimately aesthetic is really sort of where the marrow of transness is.
Yeah, but also it's at the same time, it's like, what about, like, for me, it's like, I knew it was different for me per se. Like, I know everybody has their own story, but like, it was different for me when it's like, I have had literally worse than moments of, I want to jump out of my own skin because I'm not comfortable with, you know, the body I was born in or whatever. Like, it's more along the lines of like, things need to like level the fucking hell out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when they're not leveled out, it's like, especially after you start, you know, any type of HRT, it's always just like, ew. You know, like if you stop for any like certain amount of time that you shouldn't be stopping for, it's always like, ew. Or like if you fucking like do it too much, it's like kind of like, ew. You know, like shit doesn't feel right. So it's like no matter what, it's like, I don't know, there's always this level for me that I strive to be at, and when I'm at that level and my everything's healthy and everything's going good, then it's like I don't have a fucking legit, like, honest to goodness, like, terrible complaint. But it's like when I'm not on my HRT, it's like, ew. And then when I'm on it too much, it's like, ew. You know? But that's just, maybe that's me. I don't know.
Do you mean like ooh as in like gender dysphoria or
beyond? It's like the fucking darkest of depressions meets like I don't want to even be near my own self type shit. Like,
I didn't think that I was dysphoric at all. In fact,
I'm not sure if it's considered dysphoria or if it's considered like just depression. But like, I have depression when I'm on hormones, but it's like not as intense as that shit. Like,
yeah.
it feels like I'm gonna die sometimes when I'm not on hormones for like too fucking long. Like, you know.
I'm so terrified of like not following my HRT that like it never happens that I lapse. You know, it's like I start getting like really, and I might just be doing it to myself, but you know, I think. And I'm a little bit I'm more relaxed about it now. I mean, I used to literally walk all the way from Richards back to Jerry's, which is like an 8 mile walk in the cold, in the dark,
But
just because I didn't have my hormones and Richard was too drunk to drive me home. You know, I was like, fuck that. I need to take my hormones. And I was like, I would just storm out of there, you know, and because I was so like freaked if I like missed a single like dose of my spironolactone and my estrogen or whatever. Back when I took it in tablet form. But I was always worried that I wasn't trans enough, you know, like at
I
first.
feel like that's gonna always, like, not always, but I feel like that's gonna probably be a continuing thing. Maybe for, if it does ever change, it'll take like another like 3-4 years.
Well, that doesn't really, it's not problematic for me anymore because I realized, like, a big part of that was this, like, myth of autogynephilia, you know, or I guess it doesn't have to be a myth. I guess there's some people who really are autogynephilic and are happy to admit it or whatever, but, you know, I always just
I
thought,
don't know if people are happy
what if,
to admit it.
like, what if I'm an autogynephile? Or even worse, like, I didn't really think I was, but what if everybody thought that I was? You know what I mean? Like, I was more concerned, I've always been more concerned about what other people think than my own personal experience, you know, and that
Flash
held me
forward.
back. Right. But once I came out, little thing, like, I started feeling dysphoric in weird ways. Like, if I was wearing makeup but had forgotten to shave or whatever, like, at first it didn't occur to me that that was a thing, right? Like, but after like I saw myself wearing makeup with like 2 days stubble or whatever, I was like, that's disgusting, you know. And that's when my dysphoria started kicking in, and it was kind of like a progressive thing, you know. And so I kind of struggled with that a little bit, and then I don't know, like I don't know, like I guess every trans woman or anyone sort of on that spectrum is probably concerned with like passing privilege, right? Like that's the be all end all goal.
Well, here's the thing: it's like a lot of things just, it always ends up as this, right? A certain percentage of people will think a certain thing about you, and a certain percentage of other people are gonna think a certain thing about you. Sometimes it'll be one after the other will think the other way. So it's like you can't fucking live to make others happy. At the end of the day, it's about your happiness, and it shouldn't matter whether you're passing or not. It should just matter if you're happy inside or not. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure,
it shouldn't be conducive with like the levels of like, I know I worked really hard on my makeup today, but a part of me thinks I look too much like I'm a tryhard, or like too much like I'm not trying hard enough. Like,
right.
it shouldn't matter. It's like if you reach something where you're happy and you're content, don't let anything change your mind ever.
See, I
Like,
get to that zen
please.
point sometimes,
Yeah.
and then I'll be volunteering at the Trans Health and Wellness Center,
Hello.
and then like some like smoking hot trans babe walks in and
Mhm.
just ruins it. Like I get so fucked up. I'm like, damn it,
For me,
I'm not trying hard enough. Why have I been so lax? Why did I let myself fall into my zen zone? You know, like I haven't been. You know, all of a sudden I have to like ramp it up, sort of.
like for me at first it was almost like that, but then it was more like, well, you know what? Fuck this bullshit. I'm tired of the whole jealousy thing or whatever. Like, it's not even, nothing should feel, as far as like this, it shouldn't feel like a competition. This is our literal mental health, our physical health, our well-being, spiritually, everything, you know. So it's like it shouldn't have to be a competition. It should be something that you're doing to better yourself. And so henceforth, when I saw any fucking smoking hot trans girl walk into the center back when I was there more often, fucking, I wanted to get to know them, like, as a person. I wanted to know what their
So she
journey
could
was.
destroy them
Not
later.
even. No, not even. Not even. No, like, I really wanted to make a friend. And, you know, I was sometimes shocked at the answers that they would give me. Like, oh, I only just started, like, doing hormones, like, 2 months
I
ago.
know, God,
And I'm like,
yeah.
this bitch is lying. Or, like, maybe she was just born super fucking on a spectrum. Like, I was born on a spectrum, but maybe she was born on the other side of the spectrum or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, there's always, you know, interesting things about each person. It's not always, like, this bitch that walks in that's like, I'm hot, leave me alone. Like, no, it's not always that. But that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest hurdles for me when I first came out was obviously, I mean, I came out fairly old, so I was like, I'm too tall and ugly and old and I'll never pass. But then I read a quote by Leslie Feinberg, who is sort of the individual who got the whole transgender movement started. Like, it was her idea, like transgender as a term that was inclusive of all people who were anti-gender normative or
I kind of like that.
gender
though.
non-conforming. You know, it was everybody. It was like drag queens.
Well, I mean,
but seriously, like the original transgender definition as intended
there
by
are-
Leslie
there are
Feinberg
queens that are trans.
was right.
Yeah.
But it was anybody. It, like even just like femme gay boys or
But
like
here's
the
thing,
the
that's
butch
too-
femme dynamic in lesbian
but-
relationships
but
or
would it be nitpicky if I were to think that that's kind of too big of an umbrella?
well
because
that's
I
always
feel-
that's a question that's always asked these days.
feel
Like,
like-
has transgender gotten to be too big of an umbrella? Does it have actually meaning if you include everybody underneath it? You know,
It doesn't then. If every fucking body
But-
is underneath of it. But then again, you got to think of it like from the conspirators' perspective, which is like, well, what if all like these people that say they hate trans people are just fucking pissed off that they're not doing it themselves? They don't have the guts to do it. Like, what if that's the tea, like the secret biggest tea of all time?
I totally
Like-
think that's got some merit to it.
I mean, anus thing is possible, bro.
Yeah, just as soon as I get done, like, formulating a complete theory of transgender aesthetic identity, I'm going to move on to the reason why transphobia exists and haters suck is
Whoa.
because they're just fucking jealous that they don't have the balls to, like,
It's either
do
that
what we're
or they're
doing.
purely obsessed with the issue and they won't let it go. Because think about it, like, what relates back to bullying too? It's like they don't understand it, they think it's weird or foreign, so they're just gonna fucking, instead of ask about what it is or, you know, real acknowledge that knowledge is power, they're like, fuck that, you know? It's like, well, I think we're in, I mean, I know it's 2021, so it's like, if you're somebody out there that's watching this and you're still hating on trans people, like, seriously, get your fucking shit together, because it's 2021. We've been through, like, different layers of hell over and over again, and we still exist, bitch. So, like, good fucking luck. By the way, I need to get on, like, my shits right now and take care of some shits. So,
Okay.
if you want to, what is it called? Slide over this way or that way to, like, the next montage or the next segment. Bye, guys.
To be continued.
Oh, wait. Add me on Instagram. It's SCENEKIDSEENA. Scene Kid Cena. You're welcome. Bye.
Yeah.